back to the class, everyone. We have another GAC Championships battle to get to here. This one, it's not gonna lie, it's gonna be really hard to be optimistic about this one. We're up against an amazing player, and I think our first actual real opponent from Maul. So yeah, that's gonna be very fun. I mean, overall, 1 million lifetime banners, legacy lifetime banners. So he's been good at GAC for a while. We did win our last match. I'll just put that out there. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look at his roster before we go ahead and look at the board here. Okay, so here's where he's at. He is this really large, whopping 100 that we see right here, and he's got everything on us. I mean, there's like nothing we have. Actually, there's one random metric that we beat him in, but he has 500 more relic levels than us. He has less GAC Omicrons. I believe he does have Star Killer though. Yeah, he has Star Killers. He's got the good Star Killer one. He's got Iden, he's got Zam. So arguably the best 3 GAC Omicrons. He does have Qui-Gon Jinn. We beat him there. He's got all Galactic Legends, but he has 500 more relic levels than us. Like, that's just ridiculous. I think that's the most. That's not the most we've ever had in our bracket. That's the most we've ever faced. That's rough. We do have him beat. This is really funny. I don't know how I have so many, but we have him beat in plus 25s. So I guess we can take glory in that. But yeah, just an amazing roster. I mean, he pretty much has everything relevant up. Like, he doesn't have a max 10.6 roster because he doesn't have Tusken Shaman relic out. But then again, who needs Tusken Shaman relic out? So yeah, that's his roster. Just looks like an incredible player. And I'll show our defense. I won't lie. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but I have stopped. I don't put a lot of effort, or I don't do a lot of overthinking. We'll put it that way. And my defense, when we're up against these guys, we're number one, extremely versatile on offense. So I can't trip him up. Like, if I would have put down maybe 3 GLs or 4 GLs, which is all of them, by the way, he would probably still be able to get through it. So we're really just trying to put something down, not too easy for him that he can't just go in and get max banners. But I think this one is just too good of a player for us to work around. Like, I would not be surprised if he one-shots this and he has his own negotiator and executor on the back wall. Like, it's just a really big roster. I want to see actually here real quick. Does he have? Not everyone has this right now, but does he have the TIE Interceptor? It doesn't look like he does. Okay, so at least we're on even terms there. Yeah. So my defense, we didn't really put anything down. He's been attacking off and on for literally this entire match. I'm not sure if it's scheduling or what. Yeah, then his defense, he's got JMK, Gas, this GG team, and then a really good Iden team on the front wall. This is a maxed out Iden, essentially. The entire team is like R7, R6. Not full 60 mods, but I mean, pretty darn close. It's not going to get much better than this. I'm a little concerned about Death Trooper. Actually, looks like R5. So I'm a little concerned about Death Trooper's damage. He is pretty much maxed out for damage. So he's going to be hitting really hard. We're going to try Wampa against this. Number one, I want to see if it works. Number two, I think we just have to. We're going to have to use our JML Jedi Knight Revan here. Hopefully it doesn't have a scare in the back. If he does, we're screwed. But I mean, at this point, he's going to one-shot our board. I can't afford to get cheeky and try to just do JML. And we can't use the Bounty Hunter snipe because R2's too fast. GG is probably going to get the leftover Jedi, so like a really good Bastila team with Cam. And then Gas will probably just have to go ahead and CLS that. Top wall didn't look too bad. It'll depend on what he's got in the back. The BAM, we can just go ahead and throw Jedi or Qui-Gon Jinn versus that. C, I really wanted to Wampa the C, but I think we're probably just going to have to GG it. I don't know what we're doing here because I would like to GG that as well. And also, I don't know what we're doing here. So we'll go ahead and see, but let's go ahead and get to the attacks. Hope they're good. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get to the battles here. First up, we have Wampa versus Iden. We decided that we really needed to do this because we needed to get through that bottom wall pretty much at all costs. And just to be straight honest, I don't have really another counter, so we're really just banking on this working. And so far, it's going pretty well. We don't get stunned, obviously, because we have enough tenacity for that to literally be impossible. So things are going pretty well. They're not seeming to know the damage. You can see a lot of their damage numbers. They're only doing like 8,000, 10,000 damage per hit, which compared to how much survivability Wampa has because the protection up is just not cutting it. Even Death Trooper, who is R6 and has a ton of good offense on him, he's got crit damage on him. he's still not hitting that high. He's only hitting for about 20k per hit. Iden herself, who's R7, who has 6 E mods on her square, and just a lot of offense. Again, they're just not getting through him. We do have defense sets on our Wampa. I think that helps tremendously to help him take these big hits, because unless they have Stark on the team, they don't have any defense penetration. And one other interaction that is really weird here, and this might be nice if you're trying to defend from Wampas, don't put Magna down. Because number one, Magna gets a bunch of turns because the dots that are going out whenever you hit Wampa, and that just feeds more turns to Wampa because it gets to counter. But also, I don't see this in a lot of other places in the game, so I don't know if this is working as intended. But Magma's multiple hits cause multiple counters, which cause essentially 100% TM. And you'll see here, Iden's don't seem to be doing that. Like, her basic is 3 times. Wampa isn't getting 3 counters, so I don't really know what's going on there, but it worked. 78. We can safely say that Wampa is a legitimate counter to Iden. At this point, if people are losing it, it's really coming down to people poorly modding Wampa. That's just the end result. If we're able to beat a team that is also well modded, is at the same relic level, it's a legit counter, and that's just a fact. We're going to go ahead and take our CLS versus 501st now. This 501st, particularly the 5s, was really well modded, like grossly well modded, like full defense sets and full protection primaries. I was a little worried that we wouldn't be able to get through him. We end up doing. It does take a little bit longer than usual though, so we end up having to wait here because Gas is able to stand back up because we had to burn more turns hitting the others. So I went ahead and kept in the lower position just so we'd get more turn meter because Gas is going to be countered a lot. Now that Gas is going to sit down, we went ahead and swapped stances. Went in and killed everyone. Luckily, Gas went after Han, which was kind of nice because he got 3 hits back on him. We were able to cut into his protection pretty easily. That not stunning, that ticked me off a lot in the moment. Like, he had tenacity down. Like, that should have stunned him, but it cost us like 3 banners, so whatever. Then he put down this pretty typical JMK comp. He put R2 in there to make sure that we couldn't Bounty Hunter 2-shot it. Awkwardly enough, he had, like you guys saw, he had our board essentially 1-shot. So I wasn't going to want a 2-shot anyways, because that's pretty much just an auto loss. So we go ahead and take in our Super Jedi team here. He has a really fat cat, but at the same time, there's no Padme here. So that's really not that big of a deal. So we pretty much run this team as normal. We do land all the ability blocks in the very beginning, which is really nice. That does not always happen, and when it does, it significantly helps this counter go up. So yeah, everything's going really well. We got everyone stunned. We haven't procced hardly anyone's savior mechanic that they get from JML. We're doing a lot of damage to Cat, and before they even get remotely close to their ult, Cat is dead. So Cat has gone in pretty much. I didn't just like mail it in from here, but at this point, they can't really win. Like we have all 5 of our characters. We just procced ults. Their Cat isn't even alive. Like I'm sure we can misplay enough so that we can lose here, but you'll even see here they managed to get stealth on everyone with GK, which is actually kind of sucky for us because now we just have to go after him. And I would have much rather have killed Ahsoka or R2. They're as utility pieces. They're much more useful than GK. GK just gets in the way, which that's supposed to because we're getting our taunt, but R2 stealth doesn't care. So they're doing a little bit of damage here and there. It doesn't. We just have too many safeguards. JML overall just has a lot of survivability as a leader. And then on top of that, we have Jolie in here. So even if they can get someone down, it's really not a big deal. So yeah, R2 hiding everyone in stealth continues to be a pain in the butt for about a minute. But eventually, GK himself, despite being R9 and 140k health, doesn't matter. We were able to kill him. The other 2 came out of stealth, and now we just go right after Ahsoka. She's kind of the linchpin after Cat for this team, just generating a lot of ult by constantly using her basic. And then in an effort to kind of get banners back, we went ahead and committed to taking down JMK, because JMK will do significantly less damage than R2 when he's the lone man stand. Also, JMK will counter if he gets into ult, which he just did. We do end up getting days on him here pretty early. So we avoid the attack on JMK just because he would end up countering, and then he would call R2 to assist. It'll be really annoying, but we get days out on him, and now we're kind of trying to play the protection catch-up game. It doesn't really matter, though. Like, without Shock here or Hodo, we don't really have a really great protection character, so it just ended up being what it is. And then we took our leftover Jedi, if we'll call them that. I mean, every single Jedi on this team is good. I don't really want to call them leftovers, but he had a really, really, really well modded Grievous. We've taken this team in against a few before. one, I believe it was R7, the one we took it against. And Grievous couldn't get through our protection up. He got all 4 of his bonus turns or whatever. He couldn't get through our protection up. But this one, modded really stinking well. It's got a crit damage triangle. On top of that, it's R8. So we're not getting out of this one with our protection banners. It's just, even with Hoda and Shock, the battle goes on too long. We do try to play around with Kiadi Money's stances a little bit to try to slow things down, just to see if we can recover some protection, but it ends up not being the biggest deal in the world. Grievous gets his turns, and honestly, like, we almost lose Bastila here. Like, granted, she is R3, so that'll happen, but it's typically not what you want from this counter, to lose people. So this attack can't be avoided. Found that out this match, so that was kind of nice. That way Grievous didn't get more turns than he needed to. And yeah, you can see everybody's lost their bonus protection. We have multiple characters down on max health. Nobody has real protection either. We just decided to go for Bastila here just so she ends the match with full health. Yeah, this is... I mean, he continues to drain banners. We didn't have exactly the best team. Jedi Knight Revan would have been much better for banner recovery, but he was obviously needed elsewhere. And now, okay, so we get to the back wall, and this was weird. It was cool for us, but was weird. He has SLKR. Not Lord Vader, SLKR, and I was really expecting Lord Vader. So we actually did a bunch of testing in Arena to make sure that would happen. We kept testing with different tanks against a SLKR that had the same amount of offense, so that we would know exactly who would take our pre-ton or tank or whatever, exactly down to the point where armor wouldn't die, but she would get 3 stacks. So we ended up doing that, kind of nailed it perfectly, so that was really nice. So this is a cheap-ish counter to SLKR, because yeah, once you get 3 stacks of Beskar, they can't do squat. And it's really weird, because SLKR is such a hard loss. Or sorry, C is such a hard loss to SLKR in any other situation. Like, it's not even close. And then you just make sure he's immune to crits, and suddenly they can't do anything. So we get to our ult pretty quickly. I was told by chat that who we linked wasn't really important. I don't really think it is either. So yeah, he gets his ult. That's all hunky-dory, whatever. Don't care. We go ahead and zap everyone else, and then he comes out of ult, still not even breaking our protection, which is great. And then from here, we just hit auto. I mean, we don't have to choose who to link. He'll go for the big hit when he has it. Yeah, there we go. I do think it took it off auto here just to see how close we were, and the turn we were on just happened to be the big whack. So he turned it down to 1 speed and whack, got him. Pretty satisfying. And then he lets his own C up top, which was R9, which okay. The comp wasn't pretty good. I actually wanted to use Wampa on this C, but with Iden, awkwardly enough, I was more worried about Iden than I was C, just because I think Grievous would be able to take the C team a lot better than he'd be able to take the Iden team. That being said, we did take our tank in here, and the reason why is because this specific comp, they pre-taunt, healing immunity on basic, and ability block on basic will beat Soul SLKR. You can't get directly to the characters that put debuffs out. C immediately starts with his mass attack, and then what you're seeing right now happens, but we can't kill Sidious, so you just die. Which would really suck. So we had first order stormtroopers, so we just decided to take him in as well. Actually they do quite a bit here. Go ahead and kill Droidica, just because Duke is really not a threat anymore, because we're going to proc ult, and we don't need to be... Ability block doesn't really matter for that, although it doesn't seem to be landing anyways. So we got our ult here, and we get to use SLKR and C to undersize his SLKR and C, which is kind of fun. Granted that everyone died, so maybe it's not the best undersizing out there. Yeah, we had contemplated mirroring both, but I don't think my SLKR would have beat his. His was a higher relic level, and I think overall better mods, and I didn't have first order, so that hurt a lot. So I don't really love this counter, but it was kind of our only option when looking at this team. At this point, he didn't leave a bad team on the entire field. Like, we can only troop for 1 team, which was wild. So we put this team down, and I have always hated this team. I think it's just bad. Like, for context, this guy's Darth Revan was fast enough to stop my troopers. So I don't know why he did this. Like, I don't... It didn't make any sense to me. So he put it down, and he opened up for other teams like Grievous or Bad Batch or Jedi Knight Revan or whoever to beat it. Granted, we were still, even though it is a weaker team than standard Darth Revan, we were still low on teams to beat this with. We didn't have a whole lot of options, so I was kind of trying to deduct things on what we had and just trying to see if anything we had could be usable. And this team came up, so I was like, all right, I've never done this before. I don't really love the idea, but at the same time, we don't really have another option. So we took it in, and at this point, it's looking super freaking grim. We are at a huge relic disadvantage here. Our team is like R1, R5, and his is all R7, excluding Maul, which, who cares? And then they get everyone, they kill our leader, and they fear everyone. And at this point, I'm legitimately saying in the stream we've lost, and then they'll just start to fall over. So, healing immunity sucks, man. That's all there is to say. Like, healing immunity is the reason we won, because they just couldn't recover. They were beating the crap out of us, but they just couldn't recover. And then this one, I've got to stop being afraid of this, I think. Or maybe the second I stop being afraid of, the second we stops working. So, again, full R7 team. Bam's R8. There's a ton of damage here between Bam, Nest, and Cyan of Django over there. And we're taking in 2 Gear 12s and a, what gear? Ors 4-star. So my plan here was just to kind of kill Bam and then lose and then try to clean it up with something. But man, bounty hunters. And for context, Nest was modded for potency, which you can see how far that got him. So this does end up looking sketchy in a few places, but I mean, I'm sorry if you like him, but man, Cyan of Django. I typically don't say this, but man, what a garbage character outside of CW. Like, he's sitting here R7, and he can't kill our Aura on an AoE. 4-star Aura survived his AoE. Like, that's... I apologize if I offend you with this, but he sucks. Like, I've never wanted to say that a character sucks as much as I wanted to say that the Cyan of Django sucks outside of TW. End rant. Okay, so yeah, we're getting to this point here, and Nest is still kind of a threat because she can ignore taunt, but she goes for the AoE. Doesn't quite kill us either, but gets really close again. And yeah, pretty much we're just waiting on what's his face, Mando's Disintegrate, to be able to kill someone rather large. Grief's protection recovery is really nice, and we end up going for Nest here just because she's a threat. She could actually kill someone. We go ahead and hit IG here because Quill can't be stunned or crit. So that kind of sucks because I can't get turn meter if I don't crit him, and I can't stun him with Bosk anyway, so what's the point? Well, I guess there's no point in stunning IG ever, because he just sponges it, but yep, just kind of waiting this out, trying to get back to Mando's next big hit here. They keep cleansing stuff, doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, and ultimately we end up getting back to the Disintegrate. It's a little sad because we can't target Quill, but at the same time, Quill and IG being lovers and all, once one of them dies, the other one goes down real easy. Typically you kill Quill first, but this works too. So 65. I'll take it. I'll take it every day, all day. All right, so then we take in Qui-Gon Jinn versus Dash. And this one I really wasn't too concerned about. We do take a hard minute here to think about whether we use the AoE or not. Looking back, it's a pretty obvious we should not have, because she's going to go next. She has an AoE. He has defense down. He's going to die. So if you know Qui-Gon Jinn's about to eat it, don't use the AoE. You really, really, really want to wait until Qui-Gon's down. So we just go ahead and do the basic. And of course, just like, you know, logically you would think, killed him. Luckily, he doesn't have the GAC Omicron, so didn't really matter. And then we just go after Vandor here because we can. Mace having a call to assist and being able to call Anakin is pretty darn cool. And we just rip the rest of the team apart for 61. We use Troopers versus JTR here. Really not a lot of strategy going into this. Really not a lot of hard thinking or math or anything like that. The reason behind this is because this is the only team Troopers can beat on the board. Which, that kind of sucks. Because maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago, Troopers beat everything on the board but maybe 1 or 2 teams. And now I'm having to deal with the opposite. So, nice, I guess, still. Like, I'll take the 65, but anyways. And this one, okay, so we're taking Grievous versus the small team. And at the end of the day, the Maul team is just really, really high relic. So, I think Maul himself is R8, which doesn't help. And then everyone else here is R7. I think Bo might have been R5. But this just really sucks because that means they have a ton of survivability. And we really don't have a ton of DPS. Like, granted, GG will hit for a fair amount of damage. But the problem is, since Maul keeps getting these mass assists and they go right after B2 there, they are pretty much back to full health every single time Maul go into one of his frenzies. And that really sucks because, again, they're so high relics. We don't really have enough damage here to be able to get them down. So they wipe out B2 here. We just have nothing really to show for it right now. Like, we're going to kill Watt, which is good. But as good as our opponent did on our ground, we really need this to be a one-shot. And they just keep playing it too low. Like, if they could have gone after Newt earlier, if they could have gone after Newt like right away and we would have been able to get a lot of target locks out at the very beginning, that would have been nice, but they didn't. And so now we're in this situation where we killed Django once, which, you know, that was kind of nice. Now they finally kill Newt when it matters a whole lot less. And I was really, really, really hoping that since Newt is now out of his whatchamacallit, that Maul would just kill him. But instead, Maul, rightfully so, the AI plays it really well and hits Grievous all, 4 or 5 times, whatever he needs to kill him. Because if he would have killed Newt, we would have been able to win that. This match is honestly just kind of embarrassing. I guess it was on tilt here, but I was like, oh, we'll just take in our full Empire team and they'll be fine. And then this just shows you how good of a character Maul is. And I guess really how broken he is with Candor. So, took in our full team, and we got 1 turn with our cooldowns increased. So, that was a very shameful defeat. So then we took an Iden, and now I'm curious. We didn't do this first because our Iden is really under geared. She's like gear 11, and the rest of the team's gear 12. But looking back, I'm very curious as to if this would have worked the first time. I think maybe not, because Watt has anti-revive mechanics, so I don't think we would be able to abuse that as much. But I'm curious. I'm very curious as if this would have worked the first time. Because every time Maul does assist, we get a buttload of turn meter. Like a ton of turn meter. So I'm not sure if that would have been enough or not, but we end up getting them down this time. Yeah, Bo-Katan's heal probably would have been a pain because I don't know if we would have ever had enough damage to kill them. Yeah, we do end up getting Maul down with this team, which, I'll take it. That's fine. We had the ships, and he left the same thing that we left. He left his Negotiator Malevolence. And we're trying to get a little bit cheeky here and do what we did last time, which was to send in Malevolence versus Negotiator. It's typically a pretty clear win. This time it did suck, though, because there's currently, it's probably still isn't fixed, there is currently a bug out where they went and they fixed the Buzz Droid Assist Vulture mechanic thingamabob. And now it's all messed up. So, like, they hardly ever assist. And you can see it in this battle. This is proof or whatever. Like, we're constantly hitting them, and it's much lower than a 70% chance. Like, it seems more like 10, or it seems like it's specific to our Vulture or with what he's revived. Like, they just never do it. So that almost cost us the match, but luckily we got like godlike RNG, and out of the 3 characters we could have marked, we marked the one we really needed to. So we were able to mark Jedi Anakin, and that ultimately ends up saving this match despite Buzz Droids never assisting. So yeah, that's pretty much a wrap for this one. And then for Executor, I'll go ahead and explain what happens there just because I'm not going to put it in the recording just because it probably put about 5 minutes onto the video, and there really just wouldn't be anything to show for it. So we win this here, which probably not a spoiler, but then for the Executor, we go ahead and we take in a burner, we take in Rebels, and they can immediately shoot Millennium Falcon down, and then we just keep throwing stuff at it to try to take it down, and nothing works, and we don't end up killing a single ship. So we can't full clear him. He had left our ships there for last, but this is the final board, so this is actually interesting. This is interesting. We got close. So he has 2 battles here on both our Negotiator and Executor. I'm not entirely sure what happened with either. But that means if we would have been able to clear this after 1 burner and our GG would have failed, we would have won the match. Which, it's a huge what if. Like, those are battles we legitimately lost. It's not like I fat fingered something. We didn't lose on a whim. We lost because this player legitimately played better. Yes, he had a ton of resources, but he played really stinking well. Like this, great that our defense wasn't that strong, but like there are people who had a huge advantages and also lost to these teams. So props to, again, I don't know how to say this guy's name correctly, Amputee, we're gonna call him that, or Amputef. Props to you, played really stinking well, outplayed us, won fair and square. So we definitely learned a lot. I think the biggest highlight is definitely going to be seeing that Wampa is a legitimate counter to Iden. So pretty cool. We have another match coming up here pretty soon. So until the next time, stay awesome.